So first of all, thank you David, thank you Kim for making this possible. That's amazing. I mean, I think that is the fourth or fifth bootcamp that I have been, or I have contributed to work, and it's amazing. It's an amazing experience, and for me, it's truly a pleasure to have this talk with you. And I hope that it will provide you some useful information. But the main thing is that then tomorrow or Monday, when you restart your training, you have some points to put on your day-to-day and improve your performance. So I will be talking about nutrition for fighters. I want to say that I want to apologize for advance for my English, because I know English but I don't practice a lot. So if something is a little bit off, excuse me, but I will make it happen. So
it's better than their Spanish, so it's okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about a little bit about nutrition for fighters. Here are some of my credentials. I'm a medical doctor. I'm working as an endocrinologist, and I'm also a researcher. I'm doing my PhD in nutrition and in endocrinology and hormones health. So that's a little bit about myself, and I also work with very different people. Here you have a little bit of some athletes that I have helped to reach their goals. Some of them, like Guillem, Sebas, and Chiska, achieving the both of them, Guillem and Sebas, achieving pro status, and Chiska making top 5 in their first competition. And also I work with like normal people that they want to improve their health and they improve their performance. And I put this not just to say, okay, here's my work, I'm good at what we do. That's not the intention. The intention is to say that improving body composition will always make the athlete a better athlete, and will always make the athlete a healthier athlete. And be healthier, it will contribute to have a longer career, to perform better in the short and in the long term. So that's the main goal of these slides. But that's not my opinion. I'm an evidence-based, a scientific-based guy, which I work a lot with science. And the thing that I have just said, it is supported and backed up by science. As we see, people that have fat mass index higher and a fat-free mass index lower, so they have low muscle mass and high fat, they have worse health, they have more probably to die than people who have high muscle mass and low body fat. So it's not just performance, it's not just the look, it's about health. So, are calories important? Now we will go deep in the main issue about today. Are calories important? We see calories are just fuel, as energy, and calories are far more beyond that. They are signals to our bodies. They are signals in order to produce hormones, to keep our mood in balance, to produce neurotransmitters and as dopamine, serotonin. So calories are not just about energy, are more about things like anabolic hormones or neurotransmitters. So we have to keep in mind that the first degree of focus that an athlete have to have in order to improve their performance is the amount of calories that the athlete is eating. We need calories to perform. We don't have to be afraid to eat calories. It's like we have, like in the mainstream and social media, always you listen calorie restriction, eat less calories, eat less food, and maybe it is not the response to it is not what you need in your specific case. Calories are important, and we have to keep in mind that if we don't have enough calories, our body will be in trouble. When we look at the research and the scientific evidence, we see that for competitive athletes, they need an energy calorie diet that it's almost the same that you spend. You have to consume the same as you spend in order to recover, in order to perform. And these needs that the athlete have may be threefold or fourfold higher than the recommended for the average Joe, for the average people. So you have to keep in mind that, and I do work a lot with athletes, and a lot of hormonal problems is because they are not eating enough. athletes who perform in fighting sports, combat sports, and aesthetic sports as bodybuilding, as natural bodybuilding, and all these disciplines, gymnastics too, they tend to have very low body fat. They don't eat enough, and then the hormonal that impact that have this energy that too excessive energy deficit is large. Here I will show you the relative energy deficient syndrome, which is the impact, the consequence that have our body when we don't eat enough. Okay, so our body, it goes in low battery mode, in survivor mode, and the first thing that our body shuts down when we don't eat enough calories is testosterone. As we can see in this scientific paper, we see that testosterone is the first thing that our body, boom, it blows away when we don't eat enough. And the second thing that it will go away, it's our arousal, it's our how we feel about, wake up during the day with energy. That's the second thing. And the third thing, it will go our immune system. So if you don't eat enough as an athlete, this will have a very huge impact in your body. And we have seen that in the scientific evidence and in a lot of athletes, that these consequences goes beyond the physical performance. It goes in the psychological side, and also it will grow in the metabolic, in endocrine system. So it is very important that if you are an athlete, don't be afraid to eat, don't be afraid of eating calories, because if not, you will have hormonal problems that other doctors, other specialists will treat with medications that maybe you don't need. And what you need is a proper nutrition. So, and that's very important, a lot of athletes want to lose weight in order to, for example, going into a specific body weight category or to have a specific look. And that's completely fine. But what we have to do is to lose weight in the right manner. The slow and steady wins the race. If we lose weight in a steady weight, we will preserve more body mass, more muscle. At the long term, we will be losing more body fat because we are preserving more muscle mass, and also our metabolism will keep firing high and we will keep burning a lot of calories. So it will be more efficient. And also, we know that a lot of people really struggles with the relationship with food. There is a lot of conductual problems with food that people nowadays have. And when we want very rapid weight loss, the probability of developing these food addictions, these problems with food, it is increasing exponentially. So the slow and steady weight loss will always be better than a rapid and a fast weight loss. And this goes in the line that what I was saying about eating enough calories. You have to eat enough calories to perform and to keep your body weight in the range that you want. If you want to lose weight, okay, let's lose weight, but we have to keep it at 1% of your body weight per week. If we go far beyond that, we have to eat more because we don't need this rapid weight loss. That's not what we are looking for.
Sorry, one question. For example, for the people that are competing and they are over the weight of competition, when they drain them with water and they
I will explain that at the end. Yes, you read my mind. So we first talk about calories. I will talk about protein, then carbohydrates, and then fat with practical recommendations because we are going step by step, okay? We talk about calories, now we have to talk about how much protein do we need. I will say one thing, first are calories, then are protein for one reason, because protein are very important and are the main construction of our muscle, and we need muscle to perform. So what evidence says about our requirements of protein? So we need 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight to maintain strength or to increase strength. And also we need 1.6 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight in order to increase our muscle mass. So now you have a practical recommendation to apply right now, is that in your diet you have to have minimum 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. That's very important in order to keep your strength and your muscle mass. Carbs. How many carbs do you need? There is in social media a huge fear of carbs. Carbs are the problem of diabetes, of obesity, and you have to go keto, you have to do low carb and all of this. But really, athletes who perform at high intensity level, maybe doing a low carb diet, it will work like shit for them. Because as you see, that's very clear that high intensity activities needs a lot of glucose in order to perform. So you will need a lot of carbs in order to be able to perform a high intensity activity. If you are doing another type of exercise and you go moderate intensity or even low intensity type of exercise, maybe you can go low carb or you can go keto diet. But if you are a high intensity athlete, if you do HIIT training, if you do strength training, forget about it. You need carbs, because if not, you will not be able to perform. How much fat do I need? Also, as here we can see that exercise intensity modulates our fat oxidation. If we perform an exercise that is lower in intensity, our fat oxidation will be higher. But if we perform an exercise that is a higher intensity, our fat oxidation will be less. And it doesn't mean that when we are in this zone, we are not burning fat. We are not burning fat now, but we know that then the exercise, the high intensity exercise, you burn fat after the exercise. And that's very important to keep in mind, because the message is, okay, I have to do low intensity exercise in order to burn fat because here I'm burning fat. No, because we know that here we are using glucose, but then the rest of the day you will be using a lot of fat. So fat in the diet, it is necessary, obviously, but we need a lower amount that, for example, carbs. Here we can see that 25-30% of the calories of our diet should come from the fat, but not to perform, not as a source of fuel, more as a source for our hormones. All of our hormones come from fat, so we need fat in order to produce hormones. So the next question always is supplements. With what supplements I have to invest my money? What supplements are really worth it, and what supplements are bullshit? So the thing is that based on the last scientific evidence, here we have a list of supplements that they have scientific backup that they work, specific in combat sports. For me, the main three is creatine. Creatine, it's amazing for your muscle mass, and also it goes very good for the cognitive aspect. And in fight combats, the cognitive health is absolutely crucial. You have to be fast. You have to be able to read your opponent. You have to be able to be a speed in the thinking. So creatine is the perfect supplement. Also, you have other supplements as caffeine. Caffeine works really well in order to acutely increase your performance, but you have to use it with a sense. You cannot be depending of caffeine, because then you are a caffeine junk. You have to cycle your caffeine around your training. When you have months or periods of your training that the training is harder and you feel a little bit more beat up, then putting caffeine, it will help you to maintain that performance. And then lastly, yes.
Cycles of how many weeks, more or less?
More or less 8 to 12 weeks of caffeine, and then going down, and then rest, and then using 8, 12.
How long would you stay off of it for?
4 weeks. In 4 weeks you are clean up.
In 4 weeks you clear your receptors.
Your receptors, yeah. And then lastly, I want to put emphasis on vitamin D. We live in in a weather that we have a lot of sun, but maybe our skin is not able to absorb it, and that's what we see in the scientific evidence, that we are not very good in absorbing vitamin D. So maybe supplementation with 100 to 200 units per day, it will be optimal for our immune system and also to produce hormones. And then your question about the weight cut, because maybe it's a little bit out of the scope of the of this talk, but I want to mention that because I've worked a lot in the emergency room, and I've done a lot of emergency also in sports and events and all of that, and the weight cut is the most dangerous part of the preparation for a fight. Okay. So I want to give some tips about doing that, knowing that have a potential negative effect, but trying to minimize this negative effect. For example, the consumption of a low fiber diet, not for just 2 days, for 7 days, can have the same impact on the body loss that the formulations that exist to clean up your bowel. So that's very important, because the formulations that exist to clean the bowel up can dehydrate you in a very aggressive way. So doing a low fiber diet for 1 week, it can give you these benefits without the negative effects of the bowel cleaning formulation. Also, a general recommendation of 3 to 7 days for combat athletes to reduce their carbohydrate intake in order to deplete and in order to make weight can have an impact and can reduce also your body weight. A 24-hour fluid restriction of less than 300, which is very, very little amount of fluids, but I would recommend not go far beyond 24 hours, because this obviously is not healthy, and that's a little bit harder to achieve. And also, this is a pro tip: if using a sauna to facilitate the body loss, dry heat should be used in preference to steam saunas, okay? Because dry heat results in aggregated fluid losses given the period of time. So it's better to do a dry heat and not the steam saunas, because the physiological strain is less. So a little bit of a pro tip here. And then it is very important, when you have done your preparation, you have made weight, okay, you have to go to the post weigh-in and do the right preparation with carbohydrates, fluid, sodium and fiber, which I will not go in depth. But if you want to take a screen, or you want the source or anything, let me know for your files if it can help you.
For all this information, can they text you, or can
Yes, for sure, no problem. And so, going to the end of this little talk, the take-home messages will be that calories are not just energy; they are signals for our body. So it's very important to find the calories that we need, and try not to lose weight in a very drastic change. Do not lose more than 1% of your body weight per week. That's a very key point in athletes and also in the clinical setting. 1.6 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight is the proper amount to preserve body mass, your muscle mass, and also to gain muscle and strength. Carbohydrates are your friend. Don't be afraid of taking enough carbohydrates. Fats are the building blocks of our hormones. Don't go to a low-fat diet, because your hormones always you have to keep the production up, so fats are necessary. Creatine, caffeine, and vitamin D are, for me, the top 3 supplements for a combat athlete, so take this into account. And the best way to make weight for a fight is not having to lose a huge amount of weight just before the fight, so keep in shape and keep ready. And lastly, I always try to finish my talks with some kind of thinking, more than, and not just about science, more about life. He who fights can lose. He who doesn't fight has already lost. So keep fighting. Thank you.